For those that knew Master Sergeant Tremblay, that's why I took over for the DOA, was for Master Sergeant Tremblay. So with that, I'll kind of just do a quick overview over the program. I'm going to hit the introduction, the mission, roles, tools that I use, goals and the commander's goals, and then training requirements. So again, my name is Master Sergeant King. I 33 years military experience. My MOS is a 15 Zulu, which is in aviation. That's a first sergeant or maintenance manager MOS. I'm a graduate of the Defense Equal Opportunity Management Institute, EOP, which is down in at Patrick Air Force Base in Florida. So I got to spend 3 months down there last winter. There is a guard course that's it's about a month and a half long. It's a little condensed. I went to the active duty course. So I was the only guard person in the group, and it's branch wide. So I was there with Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard. There's one Coast Guard person. And it was during when the government shut down, and the Coast Guard guy wasn't getting paid, so for like the first month I was there. Yeah, my last assignment was in HAC, the Combat Aviation Brigade. I was the first sergeant for the brigade. So the mission, basically the same mission, the 175th, we've seen this for accreditation, different things. Develops, educates, and trains soldiers, leaders, technical advisors in a premier training environment to be prepared for the 21st century mission. The EO mission is to assist the commander in promoting and sustaining a climate of equality, fair treatment, and advancement for all soldiers, regardless of race, religion, gender, color, or national origin. Ensures all soldiers' considerations are based solely on merit, fitness, capability, and support of readiness. Roles. As I've gone through any of that stuff, if you have any questions or anything you want me to elaborate on, I sure can. My roles, again, advisor to the commander, also the trainer, educator for the EO program. I changed it, that's one of the titles they deemed down at DOME, changing it, just be open to change. One of the buzzwords we always hear is being complacent. When people get in their comfort zone, they get complacent, and also on the battlefield, we just got to continue to be cognizant of the change, and that's how you kind of stay ahead of your enemy too. Is you change things up so you kind of keep your enemy on your toes too. So that's the whole EO program is kind of based on that change and to be open to change, and then manage the EO program for the commander, and then gain the trust of the soldiers. Some of the tools, diversity and inclusion, we're going to kind of cover that today a little bit. Management, command policy procedures, unit development training, small group facilitation, DOD mediator certified. I did not go through the mediation certification. That was an additional week, but funding, they cut the funding, and I didn't stay for the mediation portion. And then also continuing with tools, Army complaint procedures, filing complaints, both formal and informal. I'll handle that. And then also we have a SEAM, Captain McCleve at the state, that like the complaints, they all go through the state, but we try to handle it at the lowest level. But that's what I also will do as complaints. Managing statistical data, and then Army Equal Opportunity Action Plan, concepts of cultures, manage and conduct the DOME Organizational Climate Survey, the DX they call it, otherwise known as your Command Climate Surveys. Is things that we use. It's another tool that we use to kind of get a understanding of the getting the pulse of the units. Is the Command Climate Survey. Commanders and EO's goals: maintain or improve current EO climate, resolve EO issues at the lowest level, and become a welcome and meaningful part of the regiment. And then also work with battalion EOLs to maintain the monthly and quarterly reporting and reports. And these are the equal opportunity leaders for the regiment. So for the headquarters, it's myself as an EOA, and then Sergeant Ebson is an EOL, and I know Captain Romy is an EOL also, and just in her capacity, though, it's kind of limited what she can do as the commander also. There could be some conflict of interest there, but she is certified. She knows the deal.
I know it, but my name won't go on there.
And then the 1st Battalion, it's Sergeant First Class Emery. 2nd Battalion, Staff Sergeant Springberg, Staff Sergeant Jacobs, and Staff Sergeant Appleby. And then our TSM is Sergeant First Class Burke. Training requirements for EOL, to do the EOL training, semi-annual. In fact, last month we just did an EOL training, and we got another 20, I think it was like 25 for the state, throughout the state, we trained 25. And then senior leaders training, then that's kind of the guidance as far as Colonel Bobo, what if he wants me to sit down with any of the staff or senior leaders and cover any EO topics that they want to cover. So in conclusion, basically, to provide the members of the regiment with the type of environment where they can perform to the best of their ability. In summary, those are the things I covered. Sorry about that. So there's two. I went off the DOME webpage, and there was 2 documents that kind of covered diversity and inclusion. The first one is the government, like the United States Office of Personnel Management. They have like a break. This was in 2016, and then for also the DoD strategic. But these are both strategic plans. This is for the Office of Personnel Management for DoD, and then this is for actually like the DoD itself. So the first thing I wanted to cover was in this pamphlet there was. I'm not going to go through word for word, but on page 6 it defined, like the table of contents. I'm not going to beat this too much, but this is like the table, what's all in it, the goals, and really the goals here. It also mirrors, there's a regular, AR 600-20 is what governs the Army's EO program. This information is also in there. I just wanted to get another source with more definitions on the topic. So, can everybody see that okay? No. So you need to move up to the front. What's wrong with your glasses? Aren't your glasses working? Can you see it back there?
I'm fine.
Okay, so I'll just have people in the front read that. First, can you read that first?
Wait, which one?
Okay, under
Definitions of diversity.
Diversity and inclusion. Can you read that?
Define workforce diversity as a collection of individual attributes that together help agencies pursue organizational objectives efficiently and effectively.
So, in your own words, what does that mean to you?
That if you have a place where everyone's treated equally, they'll focus on what they need to do and not on distraction.
Okay. Anybody else want to add to that?
I would add on that I think Sergeant Major Backman might have a different perspective than I do, so it's beneficial to the organization to get both perspectives. It helps. So more perspectives give us a broader information.
Yeah, more diverse. There's you can't really say how many ways to skin a cat. Some of the animal people might not like that, but just other ways to complete a mission.
Yeah.
So, all right, and then the next The next line defines inclusion. Sergeant Crowe, can you read that?
We define inclusion as a set of behaviors, culture that encourages employees to feel valued for their unique qualities and experiences and sense of belonging.
Okay, so like, in your own words, what is inclusion, what does that mean to you?
Just means I can come to work like here, and just because you believe one thing and I believe a different thing doesn't mean we can't work together.
So just that everybody's included, that people feel part of the organization, that you're not isolating people. Sometimes, we tend, cliques, people, units can be cliquey or and there again too, that when it's good to change things up, that's why like a lot of leadership, there's a change, there's like a progression or change, they change pretty frequently. Active duty, I know they change people all the time. And is that a good or bad thing? Sometimes too much change can harm, but also the change is technically it's good, but yeah. So you just want to make sure people are being included and not being singled out or isolated. So good. And then the last one is the one right below that. It's kind of a combination. We define inclusive diversity as a set of behaviors that promotes collaboration amongst a diverse group. So like just as a group, that we're all just trying to make it as diverse and open to other viewpoints as possible. So that's basic. In this, these are all online, and if you want more information, I can get you a copy. But that's what it kind of goes through. Basically, is what it covers for diversity and inclusion with that. So, any questions on that one? I just hit escape right there. So this computer's really slow. So and then I just got this other one I want to cover for some of the diversity and inclusion, and that's the DoD. That's the DoD's diversity and inclusion strategic plan. The goals. There's 3 goals in here, and they're pretty similar to the diversity strategic for the United States Office of Personnel Management. And so in here it kind of covered it, the goals a little bit more. I think they're a little better explained. So page 5 here. So the goal. Everybody read that. So, Sergeant Major, do you want to read that goal for me, please?
Goal 1, which presents a DoD-wide sustained and accountability approach, aims to support and deepen the leadership support for diversity, as well as provide top-down DoD ownership of the policy guidance for the effort that is ongoing within DoD. This goal aims to accomplish A, the renewed ability of senior leaders to champion and define diversity program priorities. B, an enhanced capability to monitor progress and ensure that appropriate systems are in place. C, an objective assessment process for diversity progress consistent with legal obligations. And D, an authentic, consistent, viable commitment to diversity through strategic communication messaging that resonates.
Awesome, thank you very much. So, in your own words, what do you think? What does that mean to you?
Give me something.
So the big thing is leadership buy-in, the leadership commitment.
Command support for the program.
Yeah, you need, if you don't have your commander, if you don't have support at your commander level, the commander's program's pretty much non-existent. So that's where leadership buy-in has to be, that has to be the top priority. If your leader, if your commander doesn't embrace it or believe in it, then the program's pretty well non-existent. So that, in a nutshell, that's kind of what that says. Thanks, Sergeant Major. Next goal is on page. And just, you can just read the goal, like next to goal 2, just read that portion. Sir, do you mind reading that?
Deploy and align strategic outreach efforts to identify, attract, and recruit from the broad talent pool reflecting the best of the best of the nation we serve.
Yeah. You were on a roll, sorry, Major. I didn't want to cut you off. So what, yeah, I mean, in your own words, sir, what basically what is that for the Army and for our mission? What is that? What is
Well,
that?
I think more than, so we employ, right? Because we get who we get at the regiment. We don't go out and specifically recruit.
Right.
Though, you know, though there are ways by which we attract and try to bring in certain individuals that the leadership have their eye on getting here.
Right, and yeah, it's at the recruiting. It pretty much happens at the recruiting level, and then it's our job to retain. You know, make sure people are feel part of the organization, so that we retain. When we lose soldiers that don't want to, you know, that's a lot of money. It's an investment for the military to keep people in, and when we lose people, then it's a key.
However, the commander has an intent to utilize the candidates within OCS to reach out and be a mechanism by which we can get more diverse individuals into the officer corps. So
Yes.
we'll see how that grows and develops here over time.
Very good. Anybody else want to add to that, or any questions? Okay, and then the third goal. It just goes into more detail as far as what the initiatives are. It's really good reading, but I'm not gonna, time-wise, I gotta work in Major Belinsky. So, goal 3. Sir, do you mind reading that? Major Holton?
Goal 3, right?
Yeah,
Goal 3 is designed to ensure the services and.
You can just read the top, what the goal is at the very top.
Goal 3, develop, mentor, and retain top talent across the total force.
Right, and just in your own words, what do you have, what is that?
Work with the people that you have and keep the good people.
Yeah, and I think Major Forbes kind of fell back on that too, like in the OCS, the leadership to retain people that, you know, they were enlisted as they came up through the ranks, that we find other opportunities for them to mentor and grow and to retain them as other viable assets and leaders.
So I think the order is specific to that, right? We develop, if we are not mentoring, or mentoring in order to develop. If we're not doing that, there's a correlation and a likelihood that we will not retain those individuals. So, you know, we're gonna work to increase our efforts in mentoring, and every one of you should expect to see that here over the course of the next few months into the year.
Yeah, and like that mentorship part too, a lot of trust and respect kind of goes hand in hand with that mentor, building that trust and respect for one another, and give them opportunities and teach and train them in that environment where they.
Right, and it's it's an honest should be an honest dialogue and communication. Because all culminate to a certain level, then you have to be cognizant. So,
Exactly. So that's, yes, ma'am?
The only thing I'd summarize it with is when we look at our civilian employers, or some of you guys are full-time too, whether it's the guard or your civilian employers, when you go to a local establishment like a Walmart, or your, like your Little Falls, or even main gate here, if your unit matches what you see in color, gender, that type of thing, then you're doing a good job with diversity. If your company does not match that community, that main place, whether it's a Target or a Walmart, the main community, that's when we need to increase our efforts, whether it's civilian or military, focusing on what does our community look like.
Yep, your demographics of your community, the demographics should kind of align with our organizations, that's, and there again, that goes back to the recruiting part of it, to maybe reaching out to those other communities that help bring those diversities and those other mindsets to us. Throughout history, it's been beneficial for that's one great thing about our military over history, is that we've been able to adapt and diversify with the times, where others, that was their downfall, is that they weren't open to those changes and to diversify their force, and that was key to the success we've had in that realm. So that's all I really had to cover in these two different pamphlets. Are there any questions on diversity and inclusion? And I know I talked to Colonel Bobo just a little bit about it, and him as the commander, this is his program, and if he had anything he wanted to add or anything, he said no, he just wanted to just make sure that we just made sure that people were, we do have an environment of inclusion, and that people that they aren't feeling like left out or not part of the organization or group. And if you do, you can come and talk to me, you can talk to your first line leaders. We want to make sure that people are being utilized and engaged, and they have a voice in our organization also. So, that being said,
can we get maybe one citizen time?
yes, that's all I have.
Oh,
So-
yeah, thank you